Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 2011280L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is his availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And the Celtics evened their series with the Bucks last night at 1 as they beat the Bucks 109-86. Jaylen Brown was outstanding. He had 25 points in the first half. You knew this game was over at halftime. The Celtics were up by 25. Jaylen Brown couldn't miss. And Giannis had a rough first half. I mean, he was better in the second half, but it wasn't enough. Celtics and Bucks now tied 1-1 in this series. I mean, the big question now is who has the edge? Who has the edge now between the Bucks and the Celtics? And I'm going to go with the Celtics. I'm going with the Celtics. This is why I'm going to go with the Celtics. I could rely on the tandem of Brown and Tatum. For the Bucks, I mean, Giannis, really, who is the second guy you could rely on the Bucks? There's no one. I mean, Jrue Holiday's had a good series, but you can't rely on him. You can't rely on Bobby Portis. You can't rely on Brook Lopez. You can't rely on Grayson Allen coming off the bench. I can depend on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum more than I could depend on any I could depend on any duo from the Bucks. Really, it comes down to that second guy. I know that Giannis is clearly better than Tatum, but the Bucks without Middleton don't have that second guy like Jaylen Brown. That's why right now I think the Celtics have the edge in this series. Very close. It's very close. I think the series is going 6 or 7. But I think that the Celtics have the edge right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got the Celtics as well. You know, and Sunday too, the Celtics shot probably one of the worst performances they've ever had in the playoffs. And obviously that was not going to happen again like it did last night. And they shot the ball lights out. Again, they came out, the killer instinct. They went up 18-3, and you kind of felt like, you know, they were going to blow them out, and they ended up doing that. But yeah, you know, I'm with you, you know, with Tatum and Brown. They both had they both did not play well in game one. They both did not shoot the ball well in game one. Game two, they were great. They're outstanding. They couldn't miss. They came out, they had a fast start. And they challenged Giannis. They challenged Giannis every time he went up for a shot. I think he started like 2 for 11 shooting wise last night. But yeah, like, you know, I think for the Celtics too, like, got off the bench, like Grant Williams has played really well in the playoffs. Like, I think you can kind of count on Grant Williams. Even on the defensive end, I thought he played really well in the defensive end. He makes all like the little things that you kind of need. Like, yeah, off the bench for the Bucks, Grayson Allen, he's played pretty well in the playoff, but he did not play well last night. So, yeah, I think I can kind of trust the Celtics, those two guys of Brown and Tatum. And I starting to kind of think you can trust a Grant Williams off the bench, too, to come in, do all the little things for you to help you out. I think in the Bucks tried to use their size advantage that they had against them, and it worked in game one. It didn't really work for them in game two because the Celtics were knocking out threes.
And the big question for the Celtics, though, going into game two is how is this team going to play without Marcus Smart? Because their bench wasn't going to be as good because Derek White had to start. But Grant Williams stepping up was huge. That was huge for them. And their bench was better than the Bucks bench last night. Grant Williams stepping up was huge. And obviously, Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown wasn't good in game one, but he was outstanding last night. And if he plays this way, the Celtics are going to win this series.
Oh, absolutely. Those two are on. Who knows if Chris Middleton's going to be able to get back in time? Probably not, but, maybe depending on how long this thing goes. But, yeah, Marcus Smart, defense player of the year. I thought they looked better offensively, too, without him in there. Like, I thought the ball movement was better, because I think Marcus Smart Sunday at times can kind of get a little bit, too aggressive and it makes some poor shots at times. And I thought the Celtics, the flow was better without him in there last night. But, if Brown and Tatum are on, I can't see the Celtics losing the series. As long as Chris Middleton doesn't come back, I can't see those two shooting like they did in game one 3 more times to lose the series.
And there's a really good chance Middleton won't be back in this series. And that's why right now I got the Celtics in 7. I got the Celtics in 7 because, like I said in the open, I trust the Tatum of Brown, and I trust the tandem of Brown and Tatum. I trust that over anything the Bucks have. Giannis is outstanding, but the lack of having that second guy, I think, makes a difference in the series.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Brown and Tatum are just going to be 2-0 for the Bucks. And I think Grant Williams is going to continue to play well coming off the bench. Marcus Smart may come back in game 3, and that's going to help out the Celtics on the defensive end of the floor. Yeah, I think the Celtics are just a little bit too much. I'll say the Celtics win this thing in 6 games.
6? Wow. So you think they win it on Milwaukee's home floor? The way I think it's going to go is I think they split 3 and 4. I think the Celtics win 5, Bucks win 6, and I think the Celtics win game 7. But you think they close it on the defending champs' home floor?
I think they do. I think, for the way 2019 they played in the playoffs and the Bucks just absolutely embarrassed them. I think the Celtics this time return the favorite, get and knock them off on their home floor in game 6. I think Tatum and Brown will be too much that night, and they figure out and they knock them off their home floor.
Wow. You got the Celtics winning that game. You got the Celtics winning in 6. I got the Celtics winning in 7. We'll see what happens. It should be this is the best series of the second round. But moving on to another Eastern Conference series, and that is the Heat and the Heat and the Sixers. And the Heat beat the Sixers in game 1, 106-92. The Sixers were lucky it was as close as it was. That's just because of the game Tobias Harris had in the series. The big question is going to be what do the Sixers have to do to get back into this series? It's pretty obvious. James Harden has to be great, but the problem is he's not capable of being great anymore. He isn't. He doesn't have that burst. He can't beat guys off the dribble the way he used to. He can't shoot the ball the way he used to. He's just not the player he used to be, and that's obvious right now. He's not the player he used to be. And he's got to be great, but I just don't think he's got to be great without Embiid. But I just don't think he has the capability of being great. He's not a number one anymore. He proved that. He's proved that in his last 16 playoff games, he's only scored more than 25 points 2 times. His best days are behind him. But for me, that's what's got to happen. But there's a very, very slim chance of that happening.
Yeah, there is. James Harden is just not the same guy anymore. And yeah, as we mentioned, he's still just not in shape for what he did a couple years ago, for what he did in the offseason, with Houston. And then even this year, last year with Houston, not paying out for him. Yeah, they need him to be great. Tobias Harris outstanding in game 1. He carried him on his back. And yeah, you need James Harden. And again, I love how the Heat came out and they guarded him for 94 feet with PJ Tucker. Wear him out. He's not the same athletic guy that he used to be. Wear him down. And he's just not aggressive. He used to. He meant to. He can't beat anybody off the dribble anymore. He can't. And in playoffs, they swallow the whistles more. He can't go to the 3-throw line 35 times a game. He's got to be great. And I don't see him doing that in the series. There's no way.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a 5-game series. I don't think it goes more than 5. I think the Heat cruising the series. Before we get to that, we'll talk about what the Heat have to do to go up 2-0. I think it's pretty obvious. Bam and Hero got to continue to play the way they did in Game 1. Maybe get a little more scoring out of Jimmy Butler. But I think if the Heat do what they did in Game 1, they shouldn't have a problem in Game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, for the Heat, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo just kind of do whatever they want, and Bam Adebayo, Bam against DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's not the same player he used to be. He pretty much killed the Sixers the other night. I think he's minus 22.
He's awful, terrible. And it hurts their bench too. Horrible.
Yeah, he did. And I think Bam keeps exposing him offensively and defensively. And Jimmy Butler I think they're going to have a tough time. I think Miles Thibault is going to have a tough time on Jimmy Butler guarding him. And I think Butler does whatever he wants. Tyler Hero played well. Yeah, if you can get some points at Tyler Hero, like they didn't even play Duncan Robinson, but, you can kind of count on him for scoring. Getting you a couple buckets as well. Yeah, I see the Heat winning this in 5. I think the Sixers probably steal a game at home, but I don't see it going any farther than 5 games.
No, same with me. I got the Sixers winning this in 5. I mean, it's funny. As we've said, no one really won this Harden-Simmons trade. They both lost it because Simmons didn't play, and Harden isn't even close to the player he once was. So really, no one won the Harden-Simmons trade.
No, totally. And and the Sixers are probably loving now that he did not sign that $50 million extension too. Like, can you imagine they'd be on the hook for that? Yeah, it's just, again, the Sixers got saved there a bit, but yeah, totally. Nobody's won this trade. The Sixers the Nets didn't even win a playoff game, and Sixers look like they're gonna get bounced here in the conference semifinals. And yeah, just. And did you see the incident? Tyrese Maxey Harden went to go sit next to Maxey the other night, and Maxey got up, walked away from him.
Wow.
I think it just kind of shows Harden just not the greatest teammate in the world.
No. I mean, I think he's a better teammate than guys like Kyrie and Westbrook, but I'll give it to you. He's not the greatest teammate in the world. And you were right on about the Sixers. You were not high on the Sixers going to the playoffs, and they've proven why they're not great.
Yeah, Embiid's a great player. And again, it's something you mentioned for the last few years. You just can't win with the best player at the center. You just can't.
No.
Tobias Harris is a really nice player. He's a nice piece, but James Harden's not the same guy. And, Maxey looks like he's going to be a star in the making. But, yeah, they don't have enough. And I used to really like Doc, but there's just been too many choke jobs with him in the playoffs. I'm not a big Doc River fan anymore. And, yeah, it's just the Sixers team just too many issues. And, once again, they're going to fall short.
Do you think the Sixers move on from Doc? I think they might use the Embiid excuse to keep him around. But if they get blown out in the series, it may be time to move on from Doc.
Yeah, it might. I would not be shocked. Isn't he still late canning with the Lakers too? Like, maybe the Lakers.
I think so. Yeah.
Try to,
I think he is. Yeah.
Maybe try to go out and get him. Maybe he does leave. I think maybe it's possible. I think you get blown out. I think you would have to. I know he's got a good track getting teams to playoffs, but yeah, I don't think it's all him because I think there's some issues, with Harden. Again, be getting hurt, it does hurt the team, but it might be. If there's a better candidate out there, you might as well try that and give it another shot.
Exactly. Now moving on to the Western Conference, and it was a great game last night between the Grizzlies. We're in a really good series so far. Game 1 was a 1-point game with the Warriors winning, and then in Game 2, John Morant was outstanding. 47 points. He almost had a 47-point triple-double. He is proving that he's a superstar. He is outstanding. Obviously, Steph Curry's been great. Jordan Poole's been great. Klay Thompson hit that shot, but I feel like he needs to get things going. He's got to be a little bit better. Outside of that one shot, he's not had a good series so far, so Klay Thompson's got to get things going. But in terms of who has the edge, though, I got to give it to the Warriors because they're coming home. I think Klay Thompson will be better at home. And I think that John Morant is not going to be as special. He has not played in the Minnesota series. He did not play that well on the road. If you look at his numbers on the road, he was not that good on the road in the Minnesota series. He's definitely been better at home in the postseason. I think it's going to be he's still going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be. And listen, I think John Morant's one of the top 10 players in this league. He's outstanding. He's going to have Memphis in championship contention for the next decade. But I just don't think he'll be as good on the road in this series as he was at home. That's why I'm giving the Warriors the edge right now, even though the series is tied at 1. Justin, who do you think got the edge right now?
Yeah, I get the Warriors as well. Yeah, I think you brought a good point. Yeah, Morant probably he's still gonna be good, but yeah, he's not gonna do as great as he did here at home. And I think you need Morant to be great, and you need other guys to step up because I just think the Warriors just have too much firepower. Yeah, I think Klay Thompson bounced back. I think Curry shoots the ball better as well. He was 3 for 11 from 3 last night. I think Jordan Poole is going to continue to shoot the ball well. I just think there's just too much firepower with this Warriors team. And I think with the maturity that this Warriors team's been here so many times before, and you got a really young Grizzlies team that I completely agree with you. They're going to be title contenders as long as John Morant's here for the immediate future, so I just think the Grizzlies, it's been a really nice season, but I think it's a good stepping stone. But yeah, I just can't see them knocking off the Warriors here and, beating them 3 more times, especially now going on the road. I think the Warriors will be tough out. I think Golden State probably wins the series in 6 games.
Yeah, and the only way the Warriors are going to have chances, other guys around Ja got to step up. Jaren Jackson was great in game 1, but he was not that good last night. I mean, obviously, Dylan Brooks got ejected. He's got to step up in game 3. Desmond Bane definitely has to step up in this series. The guys around Ja Morant have to step up because you can't expect Ja Morant to put up these, 35, 40-point games in Golden State. The other guys around Morant, just like in the Minnesota series, they did. Like Desmond Bane was huge in the Minnesota series. Other guys around Ja have to step up for the Grizzlies to get to the conference finals.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to. It's like the same thing. I know we're going to talk about the Mavs in a minute. It's like the same thing. Other guys got to step around Luka Doncic to have a chance because, look, one guy can't, do it all in basketball for 48 minutes. He could maybe do it for the final 5 minutes in a close game, but he can't do it for the full 48. And, yeah, again, because they do have some pretty good players. Yeah, Jaren Jackson did not shoot the ball well last night. Yeah, Dylan Brooks getting ejected very early, thought it was going to hurt. They missed not having him on the floor last night, but they still got away with the win. Yeah, you need guys to step off this bench. You got a Warriors team that you got, Jordan Poole's had a tremendous season. And then obviously you got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins is a very good player as well. The Warriors just have star power. And, I think, Memphis has a really good young core, and they're going to need all those guys to really help out and help John Morant get by the series because, yeah, it just, you're facing an older team. You're going on the road. It's, and just it's a team of the Warriors that they're really not going to beat themselves. They're not going to make a mistake late in the game that's going to cost them the game. You're going to have to take it from them. And, yeah, they're going to need other guys besides John Morant to step up and win the series.
Yeah, the Warriors are a team that knows how to win. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they know how to win. When Klay and Steph have been together, the last 5 postseasons they've been together, they've gotten to the NBA Finals every year. These guys know how to win. Even though Klay Thompson didn't have his best game on Sunday, he was able to hit the shot to win the game on Sunday. So, yeah, this backcourt of Klay and Steph has been here before. They've been able to do it. They don't lose they have not lost in the post. The last 5 times they've been in the post, they've been in the playoffs, they've gotten to the NBA Finals. So I like this Memphis team. I like this. They're really good. They're really fun, exciting young team, but I got to go with the experience here and go with the Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Warriors in 6, just too much firepower. I think Memphis, I think the future is very bright for the Memphis Grizzlies. Like it was a couple years ago when they kind of had that really nice core. But yeah, it's just not their time yet. You're taking on a really good Warriors team. You're going on the road now. I don't see the Warriors losing 3 more games to the Grizzlies. I think the only way the Warriors lose a series is they kind of just shoot themselves out of it. And that's not it. And they're just too good of shooters to shoot themselves to, lose 3 more games.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about the last series, and that is between the Mavs and the Suns. Suns win game 1, 121. No, Suns win game 1 over the Mavs, 121-114. But Luka Doncic was outstanding with 46 points. I think this one's pretty obvious. What do the Mavs have to do to even the series? Guys got to step up around Luka. Brunson's got to step up the way he did in the Dallas series. Dinwiddie's got to step up. Kleber was really good, but even guys like Bullock, those guys have to step up in this series, or the Mavs will have no shot to beat the Suns. This thing will be over in 5 games.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about last week, Luka Doncic is a tremendous player, but yeah, you can't, and as I mentioned too with Morant and the Grizzlies, yeah, you can't. One guy can't win you the game for 40. Just do it all with point scoring. You need some other guys around them. And I thought, the Suns did a great job defensively too of making sure that they let Luka Doncic kind of go off. They made sure that nobody else was going to beat them, and that second guy was going to be out there. I know it hurt that Jalen Brunson got in foul trouble. And Kleber, really shot the ball well. But yeah, the Suns defensively kind of just said, all right, we'll let Luka get his, 45 points. We'll make sure nobody else gets more than like 20, 25 points. And the Suns had a great defensive game plan. And yeah, they're good. Dallas is going to need somebody to step up. They're going to need that second guy. Yeah, can that be Brunson? It obviously can be. And I thought Spencer Dinwiddie played well in the Utah series. He's going to have to step up and score and kind of, help off the bench for them to have chances. Yeah, this Suns team, again, they had all 5 guys were in double figures. They all did a really good job of sharing the basketball, and they did a great job of that offensively. They have a bunch of guys that can beat you, and Dallas can, but it's just inconsistent.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I kind of disagree about them having a great defensive game plan. You cannot let the best player get 46. The only player that could beat you get 46 points. You can't. I just feel like you can't allow that to happen. And I think for the Suns, I think they're in really good shape in the series because it looks like Devin Booker is healthy. But the only way the Suns could lose this series if they let Luka, go off like this, because they're lucky that Dinwiddie and Brunson didn't have good games because they could have lost. So I think that they got to make sure they're containing Luka Doncic. They can't let Luka go crazy, because the only way the Mavs can win this series is if Luka goes crazy. Because if Luka goes crazy and the other guys play well, that the Mavs could upset them. I think the only way that the Suns could lose is if Luka goes crazy.
Yeah, and I see your point of that. I think because I liked it more of where, they double team them a lot at all, and they kind of stuck on the other guys, where instead of kind of coming at Luka and doubling them, and maybe you create an open shot for, a Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, or Max Kleber, and they kind of knock down shots, where that could hurt you, and then kind of opens things up there for, then it kind of opens things up. You kind of get away from the double teams. But yeah, because I think, the Suns kind of, and I think the Suns, and I kind of like from the Suns too, with, because again, you let Luka go off for 45. I know it's a lot, and you kind of wish you held them to less. But yeah, I get, 1-on-1, if Kleber and Dinwiddie and Brunson could really kind of step up, knock down shots, and put less pressure on Luka, I think it's going to help that whole team out as well. But I did like that the Suns really. I like that Suns made sure that really nobody else was going to beat them besides Luka, and I know, yeah, the Suns could have been lucky, and they played a good fourth quarter, but it was kind of over by then, and he shot the ball really well. I do like the way the Suns kind of just made sure that nobody else besides, and they're going to let Luka score 45. Yeah, that could get problematic, especially late in a close game. That could really get problematic, but it didn't really hurt them the other night. It could hurt them down the line, because I do think Dallas has some scores that could hurt them, but it didn't the other night.
Yeah, but the thing is I would let the other guys. I'd let the Klebas, the Dinwiddies, the Brunsons. I'd let them beat me. I don't want Luka to go crazy, because that's really the only shot you have in the Mavs have in this series. Because if you're drafting players, obviously Luka will be one, but you're taking Booker, Ayton, and CP3. They clearly have the 3 best players after that. So I'm not letting Luka beat me. I'm doubling him all the time, and I'm letting Kleba and Brunson and Dinwiddie. I'm letting those guys. I'm letting those guys beat me. I am not letting Luka beat me. So I think the key for the Suns to stay up 2-0, the big three's got to keep scoring the way they are, and they got to contain Luka Doncic. That's what I think the Suns got to do to go up 2-0.
Yeah, I hear you saying, making sure, Luka doesn't kill you playing games. Kleber's a great corner three-point corner specialist. He's been great. The corner threes. I just think, the Suns didn't want to make sure that, a Kleber didn't put up 30 with a Luka Doncic putting up 30, 35.
Gotcha.
That, that's kind of.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going with. But I do see your point of it. Yeah, you want to double, make somebody else beat you. I do see where you're going there. And mine for Phoenix to go up 2-0 is continue the pick and roll game with Ayton. Just continue to take advantage of Dallas's struggle in the paint defense, because since they lost Porzingis in the trade, Powell's not a great interior defender, and neither is Kleber. And I think Ayton's just going to continue to dominate. I think continue getting the ball. Again, they try to double Ayton in the paint, that the kick out three to Paul or Booker or Johnson, or Bridges, anybody else, to the 3-point shooters. I think the Suns will be a tough out there, knocking down shots. And Ayton's a really good finisher on the rim.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens tonight. We'll see what happens this weekend in these Western Conference series. Right now, I think that I think the Suns and Heat win in 5, Celtics win in 7, and the Warriors win in 6. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we got a wide receiver who's suspended for the first 6 games of the season. But before we talk about that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
Come on out for a day of fun to the Cove Kids Classic, presented by Clarity. Friday, May 6, 2022 at Lyman Orchards Golf Club to benefit the Cove Center for Grieving Children. Partnership opportunities are available. All proceeds from the Cove Kids Classic support the Cove's free programs. Please consider partnering with us to continue to support grieving children and teens in 2022 and beyond. For more information or questions, call Allison Gamber at 203-634-0500 or email allison@covect.org. The Cove Kids Classic takes place Friday, May 6th at Lyman Orchards Golf Club. Registration begins at 8 a.m. Shotgun start at 9 a.m. on the player course.
Alrighty, so before we get to the draft, big news out of the NFL this week. DeAndre Hopkins suspended for the first 6 games of the season due to breaking the NFL's PED policy. So he is going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the season. And the big question is going to be are the Cardinals a playoff team with him missing the first 6 games? And if you look at Kyler Murray's numbers without DeAndre Hopkins, it's a huge difference. If you look at, Kyler Murray's career, he's 6-14-1 without DeAndre Hopkins. When he has DeAndre Hopkins, he's 16-10. So he's clearly a better quarterback when he has DeAndre Hopkins. If you look at the numbers from last year, in the 10 games where he had Hopkins, he had 19 touchdowns and 9 picks. In the 5 games he didn't, 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So the big question is, are the Cardinals still a playoff team? Even though they traded for Hollywood Brown, are they still a playoff team with Hopkins missing the first 6 games? And I'm going to say no. I don't think they are. Even though I wouldn't be surprised if they get into the playoffs, and you kind of have to see who they play in those first 6 games. I don't think they are. I don't think the Cardinals are a playoff team without him, because Kyler Murray is not as good of a quarterback. He makes a huge difference. You saw the difference in the Cardinals offense when he was out last year. So as of right now, I'm going to say no. I think the Cardinals are not a playoff team with Hopkins missing the first 6 games of the season. But Justin, I kind of know where you're going, but are the Cardinals a playoff team without DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games?
No, I'm with you. I don't either. I'll take your, brought up some good numbers as well. You brought up some good numbers there with the difference between Murray and Hopkins when Murray has Hopkins. Yeah, and I found, and I'll kind of add on to that is, last year they were 1-4 after Hopkins got hurt in week 14. And then, the Cardinals only averaged 19 points a game. They're scoring about 24, 25 games. So, they got about a touchdown less without him in there. So, and I think, the schedule too but the opponents are playing, they got to play the AFC West, which again, that's like the toughest division in football. Their add-on game in their add-on game week, or 17th game in New England. That's at home now. But again, I think it was I heard they possibly could have the second toughest schedule in the league this year, and I think it to be difficult to overcome. You're gonna have the Chiefs at home and Chargers at home. Obviously their division opponents. Tampa Bay comes to Arizona. Some of them are at home, but can they take care of business? I don't know. So, yeah, I think you lose a top wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, who's one of the best in the game. You're gonna have a setback, and I think the Cardinals will. I could see them finishing right around 500, but I don't think that that's going to be enough to get them in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think obviously we know the coaching isn't great, and Kyler Murray is just not as good. So we got to see who they play in the first 6 games. But as of right now, I don't have them as a playoff team. But the Cardinals did get a receiver. They did add Hollywood Brown. But we're going to kind of go more on the Ravens angle of this. Is without Hollywood Brown, because we still consider even though the Ravens finished 8-9 last year, we still consider them a top team in the AFC when they're healthy. But now that Hollywood Brown is gone, are the Ravens still a top team in the AFC? And I think, yes, I think they are. Even though Lamar Jackson was really upset that he got traded, I still think they're a top team. I think, and I think a lot of it was because of the draft they had. I think they got a steal with Kyle Hamilton. I think they got the best secondary in football with Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Peters, and Merlin Humphrey. I think they got the best secondary in football. And I really like their other first-round pick getting Tyler Linderbaum. I think their offensive line is going to be improved if Rodney Stanley can stay healthy. So I still think the Ravens are a top team in the AFC without Hollywood Brown. But Justin, do you think the Ravens are still do you think the Ravens are a top team in the AFC without Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm with you. I think they had a phenomenal draft. Harbaugh's still one of the best coaches in the league. They were really banged up last year. I know they play in a really tough division. But I think you still got a really good tight end in Mark Andrews. You still got that. I know, wide receiver's not great. Does this put them in the Deebo Samuel sweepstakes here? I would assume maybe. I know the 49ers doesn't sound like they're going to trade him right now, but possibly maybe they could land Deebo Samuel in the trade if San Francisco gets rid of him. Yeah, I can't imagine Baltimore being as banged up as they were last year. It'll be interesting how they what they do, because I think Rashad Bateman could be a good wide receiver in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be ready to be a number 1 guy next year yet. That'll be interesting. But yeah, I think their defense is going to be really improved as long as they can stay healthy. I thought the Ravens really had a good draft, and yeah, I think they'll figure it out. I know it's a tough division, but I trust that organization that they'll figure it out. They'll be competitive, and I think they find a way to make the playoffs, and would not surprise me to see them win a game or 2.
Yeah, and Rashad Bateman, you made a great point with Rashad Bateman. He has got to step up this year. He has got to be the guy the Ravens took in the first round last year. He has really got to step up. If that team wants to keep up with Cincinnati in those games, he is in those divisional games with the Bengals when they have Joe Burrow and Higgins and Chase. I mean, Rashad Bateman is really, really going to have to step up this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have to. He's going to have to stay on the field. He only played a handful of games last year, which kind of, he had the, off-season injury. Yeah, because, right now it's such a young wide receiver core, with Devin Duvernay and James Prochy, Tylan Wallace. It's a very young wide receiver core. They don't really have a veteran in that room right now. And, somebody's going to have to step up and do that. That's going to be Bateman. Again, he had a great career in Minnesota. He was a phenomenal wide receiver. So, there's a lot of expectations on him right now to kind of step up, be the guy, because there's not much. Devin Duvernay, more of a slot guy at size. What?
Yeah, I don't trust him at all. I don't trust Duvernay at all.
Yeah, I know he's undersized. Yeah, he's undersized a bit there. He's more like a slot guy. James Prochy out of SMU. I know he's a real speed threat, but he hasn't done much in his career. So for Bateman, he definitely has to step up. Outside of Mark Andrews, I like the Charlie Kohler pick up the draft pick out of Iowa State. I think he's gonna be a solid tight end in this league. But they're gonna need Bateman to really step up this year and be a number 1, because at the moment they don't have really anybody else right now that feels that they can kind of burn you.
Absolutely. Had another receiver trade in the draft, and that was between the Eagles and the Titans. And the Eagles picked up A.J. Brown. They traded their 18th pick for A.J. Brown. Then the Titans went out and drafted Treylon Burks. You kind of felt like that was going to happen after – that was pretty obvious that was going to happen after the Titans traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles. And the big question is, are the Eagles the best team in the NFC East with A.J. Brown now? And are the Titans still the best team in the AFC South? And I think the Eagles are the best. I have right now, I got the Eagles as the favorite in the NFC East. I really like what they've done this offseason. I like what they did in the draft, getting Jordan Davis. Obviously, they might get to steal the draft into Kobe Dean. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I think right now they got a better receiving core than the Dallas Cowboys. Even though the Cowboys are the better quarterback, I think they got a better offensive line than the Dallas Cowboys. I think their defense is close to as good as the Cowboys. So and we all know the Cowboys, with McCarthy and all the drama going on there. So right now, I say that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC East. And for the Titans, I don't think they're the best team in the AFC South now. And you heard Tannehill's comment yesterday saying it's not my job to mentor it's not my job to mentor Malik Willis, and we'll get to that. I think he's scared. I think Tannehill's scared. I think he's starting to lose some confidence. And I think I'm going to go with the Colts. I think their roster has gotten a little bit better. I think the Titans has gotten a little bit worse. I think with this move, the Titans are not the best team in the AFC South. But Justin, what do you think? Do you think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC East, and do you think the Titans are still the best team in the AFC South?
Yeah, right now I think it's the Eagles. I think the addition of that outstanding draft. I know we'll talk about it in a few minutes. I think the Eagles are right top 5 of kind of top 10 of draft teams, and I think they had a great draft. I think they adding Jordan Davis, with Fletcher Cox up front, they're going to be impossible to run against next year. I think that wide receiver core is very good. Again, they've done everything they can to help out Jalen Hurts, and
this is the year he's got to get it done this year. They not only have to win the division, they got to look like they're a Super Bowl contender if they want to move forward with Jalen Hurts. They can't be down 31-0 in the second half of a playoff game. Yeah,
absolutely. They can't. I do really like Jalen Brown. Jalen Hurts coming out. I think he can do it. I think he'd be the guy. But yeah, he's got to really show them now. And that's going to be the big thing here. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You got 2 really good wide receivers there. Yeah, offensive line's gonna be better. Again, the Eagles, they took advantage of an easier schedule. They beat who they had to beat. Now can they kind of take that next step, beat some teams that are above 500, kind of maybe a little bit better than them? How does Nick Sirianni do in year number 2 as a head coach? Can he does he improve? I think the Eagles can be. I think Dallas. I thought Dallas had a pretty good draft, but can I kind of trust the Cowboys right now? I don't really know. I know they lost pieces of the offseason. I kind of liked what the Eagles are doing. I like some of the creativity they used last year, and I think they can kind of use that even more now with a guy like A.J. Brown. So yeah, I do think the Eagles right now are the favorites right now. They win the NFC East, and I'm with you as well. I think the Colts are better than the Titans at the moment. Quarterback with Matt Ryan, you kind of seen what he's been able to do. I know they may not have the greatest wide receiver in the room. You saw what he did with that Falcons team last year. He stolen probably 4 games. So I think that's a positive for the Colts. You got one of the best running backs, Jonathan Taylor. Obviously the Titans, it's just, you don't have a guy like A.J. Brown to kind of bail you out, a wide receiver anymore. Traylon Burks, I think he's going to be a good wide receiver. I just don't think he's going to be a number 1 guy right away. You got Derrick Henry. That defense got a lot better last year. But right now, I think, Tannehill, it was very interesting comments there about Tannehill. He's not been great. You saw what he did in the postseason was awful. But right now, I think the Colts are a little bit better than Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Colts right now are the best team in the AFC South. So now we're going to recap the draft. And for me, the first pick, I think we knew that the Jags were going to take Trayvon Walker. Still a major reach for me, but they did. And you knew right when the Jags took Walker, the Lions were taking Hutchinson. It took them no time at all to put the card in. They were going to take Aiden Hutchinson, and they did with the number 2 overall pick. Another reach at number 3 with the Texans taking Derek Stingley, and that set up the Jets and Giants. The Jets were able to get the best player on the board with the best defensive player on the board with Ahmad Sauce Gardner. And then at number 10, they were able to go get Garrett Wilson. So that set things up for the Jets. It set up things for the Giants too, with going out and getting Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau. Same thing with the Giants. They got the best player on the board and their biggest need at 5 and 7. And then the Panthers, we thought maybe that was the first place a quarterback was going to go. They passed on a quarterback. They went to address their need at tackle, getting Eki Ekwonu. And then the Lions traded up for Jamison Williams. And the Ravens probably got the steal, maybe one of the steals of the draft in Kyle Hamilton. And the first quarterback that went was Kenny Pickett to the Steelers. I think we were wondering where that first quarterback was going to go. We knew it didn't go to Carolina. It probably was going to drop all the way to 20, and the Steelers ended up taking Kenny Pickett. So, Justin, what's your thoughts on the first round of the draft?
Yeah, I'm with you. Walker, I thought was a reach. I thought, you could go edge there with Hutchinson or kind of bulk up that offensive line to help out Trevor Lawrence for the future. They didn't really do that. Yeah, Houston going with Stingley, was a little bit surprising, but, 2 years ago, this guy, 2020, this guy, kind of for this draft, it kind of looks like he could be the number one pick. And, the last couple of years hasn't been great, kind of just coasted towards the end here. I think, he can be a really good player, but, can he get back to that level that he was, a couple of years ago when that LSU team went on that run there, that great seal. And, that all kind of, set up the Jets and Giants. I think, both those teams had a great draft, especially in the first round. They got a lot of talent. And, Drake London, I thought going to Atlanta, I thought, maybe they go with a Garrett Wilson instead of Drake London for Atlanta. They did. But the Carolina not going the quarterback there, it's not surprising that they kind of held on there. I think, dressing the offensive line with maybe a little bit bigger. I know Sam Darnold has not been great, but I think, the offensive line was just so bad. Kind of bulk that up. As we've mentioned, I don't, there's not total confidence that there's one guy here in that quarterback class that's going to be a franchise guy for a while. Take the offensive lineman instead. I like the line trying to draft up or move up there to get Jameson Williams as well, because the wide receiver room for Detroit's not been great. Maybe next year they go out, get a quarterback, and get that franchise guy, to replace Stafford after all these years. In Baltimore, as we mentioned, Kyle Hamilton to steal at number 14, and talking, it's just safety too. Maybe not being a premium position. Kind of the Ravens kind of took advantage of that. And then getting the offensive line as well. And then with the Jets too, getting I forgot about this, talking about the Jets, Jermaine Johnson too. People had him in his mock draft in the top 10. You got him at 26 as another edge rusher. So, and then I liked what the Chiefs did as well, getting George Garofalo, and then getting Trent McDuffie too in there for the defense. So I liked what the Chiefs did. Yeah, probably the reach of the first round was probably my Patriots, but
oh my God, yeah,
he fits what Bill wants to do, and that's
Bill doesn't. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But so overall, kind of wasn't shocked that the quarterback dropped all the way to Pittsburgh. Maybe he thought the Saints would get Malik Willis there at 19 or Pickett, but they ended up not going quarterback.
Nope. They didn't. And so we're going to go over our winners and losers of this draft. And first, we'll start with our winners. I'll start with my winners of the draft, my 5 winners. First, I'm going to go with obviously the team that I think everybody thinks had the best draft, and that's the New York Jets. I think obviously getting Sauce Gardner, getting Garrett Wilson, getting obviously trading up to get Jermaine Johnson, and then in the second round trading up to get Breece Hall. They got 4 starters in this draft. To me, they hit a home run. They had the best draft. My second winner is the Baltimore Ravens. And we talked about that, getting Kyle Hamilton, then going out trading. They made that trade for Hollywood Brown, but then they got Tyler Linderbaum. And then getting David Njoku. I know he probably won't play this year, but he could be a very, very good pass rusher for that team going forward. Number 3, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. I like them going out and addressing their needs, going out and getting Trent McDuffie, trading up to get Trent McDuffie, getting George Christopoulos, and in the second round, going out and getting Sky Moore. So I really like what the Chiefs did. Number 4, my 4th winner, the Eagles. I like the fact the Eagles got Jordan Davis. They traded up to get Jordan Davis, and they probably could very easily get the steal of the draft in Nakobe Dean. So I like what the Eagles did, and I like how they got Cam Jurgens. I like they're going to need a center because Jason Kelce is getting up there and is getting old. And number 5, I'm going to go with the Lions because the Lions knew right when Trayvon Walker was picked that they were taking Aiden Hutchinson. They didn't even think about it. They were going after Aiden Hutchinson, and they were aggressive, and they traded up to get Jameson Williams. So those are my 5 winners: Jets, Ravens, Chiefs, Eagles, and Lions. Justin, your winners.
All right, my first 4 here, I agree with you. Number 1, 2, I got the Jets as well. Yeah, they had a great draft. They got 3 maybe top 10 picks, all in the first round, and you got one of them at number 26, Jermaine Johnson. And Breece Hall, I think coming at running back with Carter in the backfield next year. I think it could be a nice complementary backfield next year. Breece Hall could do a lot of the backfield, and people thought going the year could be one of the Heisman favorites there. He's a really talented running back. And then Jeremy Rucker as well at tight end. I think he possibly could be the best tight end coming out of this class as well. And I know that the Jets have, struggled at tight end position the last couple of years. So I thought the Jets had a great draft. Number 2 as well, I get the Ravens. Yeah, Kyle Hamilton definitely could be the steal of that first round. Tyler Linbaum out of Iowa. And Iowa always produces great offensive linemen at the NFL level. Probably the best center in this class. He had a really good one. And then Travis Jones out of UConn. After the Senior Bowl, people were giving him like a
you got to give the UConn guy some love. You got to give the UConn guy some love.
Yeah. After the Senior Bowl, people were kind of giving him like a first round grade. You got him at number 76. So, in the third round. So possibly to bulk up that defensive line there. And Travis Jones and Charlie Kohler. Charlie Kohler out of Iowa State tight end position. I think he kind of fits with a Mark Andrews. He's kind of, similar, big tight end. I think he'll fit with that offense. I think so. I think the Ravens had a really good draft. Number 3 was the Chiefs as well. They dressed their defense, which obviously in that division now you're going to need it. Trent McDuffie, George Karl Loftus out of Purdue. Sky Moore, I think, really fits that offense of what they want to do. He's 5'10", but but he's quick. It's hard to stop in the open field. I liked what the Chiefs did as well, addressing and getting another wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes. And then number 4 is the Eagles, getting Jordan Davis, and the Kobe Dean there late in the third round. For a guy who could be a first rounder at pick number 83 is very good. And then at tight end 2, Grant Caltrea out of SMU. He played at Oklahoma for a couple of years, and he's kind of had some concussion issues, kind of retired for a year, went to SMU, had a really good year. He's a solid tight end, good route runner. I did like him at SMU with that offense last year. And then number 5 for me, I went with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they were very solid. And again, they addressed their offense. They really needed – they got some explosiveness in that offense, what they needed. Kenny Pickett obviously coming over. I like Calvin Austin coming from Memphis, special teamer guy as well. He's explosive. And George Pickens as well, wide receiver. So yeah, I think the Steelers had a really good draft addressing their offense, kind of because they didn't have any explosiveness last year in their offense, and I think they did a really good job of trying to address that, and I think they did.
Yeah, they definitely did. Getting Pickens, you like Pickens. You had him going in the first round of your mock draft, so you really, really like George Pickens. But we're going to go to our losers now, and I'm going to do mine first. And number 1 is the New England Patriots. I did not get the Cole Strange. I didn't get what they did. They were at 21. They could have taken Trent McDuffie, and they trade down. Then they could have had Daxton Hill there. They reach and get Cole Strange, who had a third-round grade. I did not get what they did at all. And then their second pick, there was another reach. They took a guy with a 4th-round grade. So I don't get what the Patriots did at all. That's why they're my number 1 loser in this draft. Number 2 is the Dallas Cowboys. They had Jermaine Johnson sitting there at 24 with a need at defensive end because they lost Randy Gregory, and they didn't take him. They had Jermaine Johnson just sitting right there. And they go out and reach for a tackle who they could have gotten in the 2nd or 3rd round in Tyler Smith. So I thought, and then with their second pitch, I thought they reached for the pass rusher. I thought they reached for Sam Williams out of Ole Miss. So I think there were 2 reaches there to start the draft for the Cowboys. So that's why the Cowboys are one of my losers. Number 3, the Minnesota Vikings. What are earth to their new GM? What are you doing trading inside your division? You not only did it once, you did it twice. You did it in the first round, trading down with the Lions, so the Lions can go get Jamison Williams, and then you traded down in the second round so the Packers could get Watson. I don't understand that at all. At all. I don't understand what the Vikings did in this draft. That's why they're my number 3 loser. Number 4, we're going to stay in the NFC North. That's the Chicago Bears, and it's really been all off season. They have not helped Justin Fields. They did really nothing in this draft for me. They took the wide receiver out of Tennessee in the first round. I think he's 25 and he's going to be a rookie. I think the wide receiver in the 3rd round from Tennessee, who's 25 and he's a rookie. I didn't get that at all. I just didn't get why they didn't trade up for a receiver to help Justin Fields. You want to put your quarterback in position to succeed, and I feel like the Bears are not doing that right now. So I did not like what the Bears did. And number 5, the Houston Texans. I thought they had 2 first-round picks, a really good opportunity to rebuild this team. And I think I thought both their picks were reaches. I thought that Derek Stingley was a reach, and the guy they traded down with, Kenyon Green, the offensive lineman from Texas A&M, I thought he was a reach too. So my 5 losers: Patriots, Cowboys, Vikings, Bears, and Texans. Justin, your losers from this draft.
My losers, I'll start number 1, the Chicago Bears. Yeah, they didn't really help out Joseph Fields at all. Valerius Jones, yeah, he turns actually 25 next week, so he'll be 25. Yeah, and I didn't like either that they waited to the fifth round to get an offensive lineman as well for Justin Fields. Yeah, I know I know secondary with they got Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State. I know secondary was an issue. Brisker. Yeah, I know that was an issue, but I'm with you. I think you had to go out and help Justin Fields. It just kind of seems they have not done that, and yeah, I think the Bears kind of failed there. I know they didn't have a first-round pick, but still, they I thought it was a very good wide receiver class, and I think they could have got one in the second round there to help out Fields. Number 2, I thought I was the Washington football team. I liked that they got Sam Howell in the 5th round. I thought you could have – I didn't get – you traded down it, and then you got Dotson. You could have had Chris Olave there. I wasn't kind of impressed by some of the late kind of choices outside of like a Sam Howell. Brian Robinson, could be a solid running back, but I don't think he'll turn into much at wide receiver there. I wasn't really impressed with Washington draft outside of really, Sam Howell. Number 3 for me was the Arizona Cardinals. I thought partly they gave up a little bit too much to go get Marquise Brown in the first place. I thought, first and third may have been a little bit too much. But I just didn't think that they really addressed a ton of their needs. I know, the tight end spot, they're their first pick in McBride. Like you have Max Williams, Zach Ertz. Why do you need another tight end? Thought they could have used another guy off the edge. They didn't really do that to the 7th round. So I was not really impressed with the Arizona Cardinals draft. Number 4 for me was the San Francisco 49ers. I like their first pick in Drake Jackson. They need another edge guy to go with Joey Bosa. I did like that one. But outside of that, like Tryon Davis-Price out of LSU, the running back, I think that was a total reach. Danny Green, a wide receiver. He's another speed guy. But I thought he was a guy that could have gone the 4th, 5th round. Cornerback, Samuel Womack. He's an undersized cornerback. I agree. I just didn't like it whole what the Niners did. And then number 5 for me was Jacksonville, because getting Trayvon Walker was definitely a reach, and then you traded up to get. Then you go out and get Devin Lloyd. And then your next pick, you go back and you get another line. Not the next one. The pick after that, you go out and you get another linebacker and Chad Muma out of Wyoming. It's like, why? Why'd you trade up? They get Lloyd and then go back and get another running back. And then they got one offensive lineman in Luke Fortner out of Kentucky, but I think he was more of like a 4th or 5th round guy, and you got him in the 3rd round. I didn't really like what Jacksonville did, and out there as well. I thought they should have got a couple more offensive linemen to help out Lawrence, especially earlier in the draft. They didn't really do that. So my 5 losers were Chicago, Washington, Arizona, San Francisco, and Jacksonville.
All righty. So now we're going to get to the quarterbacks in this draft class. And obviously Pickett went to the Steelers in the 1st round. And the 3 guys went in the 3rd round: Ritter to the Falcons, Willis to the Titans, and Corral to the Panthers. I think it's pretty obvious who's going to be in the best situation. I think we can agree it is it's Kenny Pickett. I think he's playing. They're not going to start him right away. They're going to start Mitch Trubisky. I think the Steelers know this is kind of a bridge year where that they don't expect to be Super Bowl contenders. So they expect, Pickett to sit and learn. He's going to get a 5th year because he's a 1st-round pick, so they'll probably eventually they'll exercise the 5th-year option on him. So I think I think it's pretty obvious that Pickett's in the best situation to succeed. Looking at the other quarterbacks, I think Willis is probably second. Is second is second behind Pickett, because I feel like he's not going to start right away. He can learn. He's got a lot of upside, and I think he could learn that offense in Tennessee. I mean, eventually, I think he's going to get a chance, but he could sit there and learn. And the other two guys, I don't think are in great situations. Now, I do think that Corral and Ritter could get on the field before Pickett and Willis, because of their teams are going to need them to get on the field. I think that Desmond Ritter could very easily get on the field in the middle of the season, because Marcus Mariota could really, really struggle, and they're going to need Desmond Ritter to get on the field. And then Matt Corral, who I think is in the worst situation of any of these quarterbacks, because I feel like the Panthers, their starting quarterback right now, Sam Darnold, he starts to struggle. Matt Rule's job is on the line. He's going to go right to Matt Corral, and you don't know if Christian McCaffrey could be able to stay healthy. He's not been durable at all. He's the quarterback for me that I think is in the worst situation. I think Ritter's not in a great situation because he won't go in right away. And the reason also why I think that Corral and Ritter aren't in good situations is because if they're not good, because they're third-round picks, their organizations are going to completely move on from them. A guy like Pickett, he could maybe struggle at the end of the season, and the Steelers are not going to move on from him because I think they're invested in him. And even Willis, if he struggles a little bit, I still feel like because of his upside, the Titans will still keep him around. But I think Ritter and Corral, if they struggle, those organizations are going to get rid of them because they're third-round picks.
Yeah, I have the same word as you here with Pickett being number one. Yeah, you're going to the Steelers, you're going to an organization. As I mentioned, too, in the draft, I really liked what they did offensively. He did really improve last year, 42 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think he really did kind of really improve last year, and I think that, like, fifth year really helped him out there and kind of learned. So he's an older guy as well. Yeah, I don't think he's probably going to play right away, but yeah, halfway through the season, Trubisky kind of, doesn't really, move the needle for him. Yeah, I definitely could see Kenny Pickett come in right away and, trying to provide a spark for that team. Yeah, for me, Willis is number 2 as well. I think for Tennessee, I think they do have a good team. They don't have a lot of really good wide receivers now that they traded for A.J. Brown. Again, I think Treylon Burks is going to be good. But I don't think right away. I think to take him some time as well. I think the upside's really there for Willis. I know like to knock to him because he didn't throw a touchdown against the Power 5 team. I know, he transferred out of Auburn to go to Liberty. He played Ole Miss this year, but he got sacked in that game like 8 times because of the offensive line. But I think Willis's upside, he's got some high upside there. I think he definitely could become a starter for Tennessee. Possibly he could come on the field this year. Tannehill has really struggled, and Tannehill gets banged up too. I could, you would not be surprised to see Malik Willis come on the field, but I think he's probably another year away. And then number 3 is Ritter. He's a 4-year starter. He's a 4-year starter at Cincinnati. I know Arthur Smith really likes Marcus Mariota. I know he had him when he was at Tennessee. Ritter, I think, is a guy that can do it. I think times he makes some bad choices, kind of just staring down his number 1 option, and kind of gets him in trouble at times. But I think he could kind of fit for a team. I think he could move on if a team, the Falcons could trade him if kind of things kind of get out of hand, and they'll be Arthur Smith's year number 2. I don't know if they'll fire him after this year. Who knows? But it'll be interesting how he does. And then Matt Corral at Carolina. It's a tough spot. It's a really tough spot for him, and I think he may struggle at the NFL level just because of the type of offense he ran at Ole Miss. It's just a high octane offense. How does he do now coming back to traditional offense? And then too, I think if Carolina saw Joe Brady, I think I'd be more high on Matt Corral, but I think that could really fit him. But I don't know how he'll do with a traditional offense. Especially the line's not great. He made a lot of better decisions last year, but it's a tough situation. If Matt Rule gets fired, again, the new kind of regime may not be a fan of him, and he may get traded away. I don't think, he may have to get forced into the game. He's probably not going to be ready for that, just because I think it's going to take some time to kind of get back learning a traditional, really kind of more pro style offense. And I think he could have a lot of kind of bumps in the road from that.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're going to look at, day 2 and day 3, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about day 2, just about day 2. One question about day 2, one question about day 3. And for day 2, who is the player that was picked on day 2, the second and third round, who has a chance to be a perennial Pro Bowler?
I think, I was going back and forth between him, this guy, and Nakobe Dean, but I went with Sky Moore at Kansas City. I just think the situation he's going in, he's going to be a big part of that offense, I feel like, this year. I think he fits. He torches press coverage. He's a tough guy to tackle in the open field. I know he's undersized at 5'10". He had some really good productive years at Western Michigan. I think he could be a big play guy for Kansas City. And you pair him up with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is gonna make you better. And I think he could do that for Sky Moore. I think he could go. I think he gets in a good situation. I think he fits that Kansas City offense very well.
Who is the day 3 guy who could be a solid starter in this league?
I went with the running back with the Chargers, Isaiah Spiller. I think he was one of the top running backs coming out of the draft. I know some of his he had some bad kind of pre-draft workouts that I think kind of hurt his stock, but I thought he was one of the best running backs coming out of they're going in like to September. I think, he could be one of the best top running backs taken off the board. He's decent in the receiving game. They use him a ton. I know, with the Chargers, they got, Austin Eckler. He's probably not gonna be a third down back in the NFL, at least probably not right away. But I think he's a guy the last couple of years, he's been 1,000-yard rusher. He runs hard. Not the most electric guy, but I think he's a hard runner. I think, does a lot of things well. I think he could be a solid starter in this league for a team.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But we got to wrap. We'll wrap up talking about the Giants and Patriots. We'll talk about I talked a little bit more about the Patriots, but I'll definitely get your thoughts on the Patriots. But first, we'll start with the Giants. And I thought this draft was not great, but it was pretty good. I love the first 2 picks. I mean, I love the fact they got Thibodeau, and I love the fact they went out and got Evan Neal. They addressed the need, and they got the best player available. I really, really like that pick. Second round, I thought that Wendell Robinson pick was a reach. I thought it was a reach, especially. I don't think they should have traded down with Atlanta. I thought they should have stayed home and taken Booth or Kyler Gordon, because they're probably going to need a corner, because they're more than likely going to part ways with James Bradbury. So I thought that second round pick was a reach. I thought their third round pick was a reach, getting that guard from North Carolina. I thought that was a reach. I liked the getting the corner from LSU. I like that pick. In the third round. But the thing was, they could have taken a corner in the second round and maybe got the steal with Nakobe Dean in the third round, because Dean went 2 picks after that. So I wish they went corner second round and maybe got that steal with Nakobe Dean in the third round. Fourth round, I like Bellinger. I think he could be a solid tight end for this team. He could, with Ingram gone, he could wind up, because really their starting tight end right now is Ricky Seals-Jones. With Ingram gone, he could be the tight end of the future. So I don't mind Bellinger in the fourth round. I thought Belton, the safety out of Iowa, was kind of a reach. And I thought every pick outside of Beavers, every other pick they had outside of that was a reach. So I like the draft. I give it like a B or a B+. So I did like what the Giants did. I like what Joe Shane did in his first draft. Justin, what do you think of the Giants draft?
Yeah, I think they did a good job, especially night one. Night one was great. You may have got 2 of the top 2 guys in the entire class, Thibodeau, Evan Neal. I think you addressed it. Yeah, Wendell Robinson was was a reach. I think he's another Kadarius Toney. Not the off the field. He doesn't seem like he's a problem off the field, but I think he got another Kadarius Toney. Which if he's on the field and healthy, I think they could be a great match for you. But I think Toney's probably gonna get traded or released at some point. I like Bellinger as well too, because he came over from a run style team in San Diego. He's a pretty good run blocker as a tight end. He's got some decent hands. So, I think he's got a very good chance to be a starter, at least compete for the starting job in year number 1. And I think, for the Giants too, they had, you could have gone pretty much anywhere to, there's a lot of holes. And I think they did a pretty good job. Yeah, I know Dean. That would have been nice to kind of get Nakobe Dean there in the third round to get another linebacker. Obviously they didn't, but I think overall though they did a really nice job. I think they did a nice job kind of build that offensive line, even some developmental guys with Marcus McKenna, Joshua Uzuna, both from North Carolina, and the Darian Beaver Soup out of Cincinnati, the UConn transfer. I liked him. Both at UConn. He was kind of one of the leaders for Cincinnati last year. I think he's one of the top guys in sacks last year, maybe, or tackles for losses. He had a really fantastic year with the Bearcats. I think he's another guy, developmental guy, but I think he'd be somebody that could get on the field in a couple of years and get some snaps, as a backup. I think he'd be somebody good kind of depth piece for the Giants.
Yeah, we'll see. But now we got to get to the Patriots, and I thought their draft was absolutely terrible. And I was surprised you didn't have them as one of your losers. I'm really surprised because I thought their draft was terrible. I thought it was the worst of any team. I thought it was absolutely terrible. But why did you not have the Patriots as one of your losers in the draft?
I did until Saturday night. I kind of listened to Matt Groff, the new I forget what his title is, but he said what their two things that they wanted was get tougher, get faster, and I think they did that. So I think from a philosophy standpoint, they did what they wanted to do.
How is Cole Strange a good pick in the first round?
He just fits Bill. I can't describe.
He had a third round grade.
I know.
Thornton had a fourth round grade.
I really like Thornton now afterwards because there's no guy in this offense that could kind of take the top off the defense. He can do that. He's going to do that. I think he could be very at 6'3", the way he runs. I think he could be a very, very nice piece of this offense. I'm actually kind of excited for him. Now, after a while, I am excited for him right now. See what he can do. Because I think, that opens up things for Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar because I think they're better underneath.
Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers. Nelson Aguilar is absolutely terrible. I don't think he's going to – there's a point he's not even going to get on the field.
No, probably not. But, I think with the other guys, Bourne, Jacoby Myers, I think they're better underneath. Thorne's going to help that out. The two running backs, this is where I like Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris. The thing of why I think they drafted two was I think this is the writing on the wall that Damian Harris is a free agent after next season. I think this is pretty much telling you that Damian Harris is not going to be resigned, unfortunately. I think that's where we're going there with. Bailey Zappi, didn't really understand that. That's the one where I'm Cole Strange I get because he fits.
Why do you need a quarterback in the fourth round? Get a back. If you need a quarterback, just get it in the fifth or sixth round. Why would you waste a fourth round pick on a backup quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know that one because Stidham's a free agent at the end of the year. Brian Hoyer, that guy's more of the water boy now than anything else on this team.
Yeah.
I like Zappi. I don't unless it's just kind of motivation for Mac Jones' more sake. I guess with the offensive line too, which I think will get better. I think it's still a very big. It's a work in progress. But I guess if he gets hurt. It's Bailey, Bailey Zappi is going to be the guy, I guess. It's probably more just, the insurance just in case if Mac Jones gets hurt. But yeah, the Cole Strange one, the only thing I come up with is he fits because before Chattanooga.
Why? Because they had an – oh, God.
That's
and because they created a need at guard and they had to take a guard. Is that another reason why they took him?
I guess. Yeah, it's only –
yeah, I really did not get it. But I did not get this draft by the Patriots, and I don't think they got better, and I don't think they're going to make their quarterback better with what they've done in the draft, what they've done in the offseason. I think they've had an absolutely pathetic offseason, one of the worst offseasons of any team, and they eventually, and this could and Bill could eventually get in trouble for this. I think Bill's job could be on the line because of what's been going on this offseason.
I think it could. I heard this Matt Groth guy believe it was more to bring in a lot of the scouting, was huge in the scouting. I think it sounded like he had a big part of kind of the draft picks. And I think he did last year too, it sounded like. So I'm going to have some confidence in him and Bill to kind of see what they did. I like the speed that they brought. This team had no speed last year. I like the speed.
But where's the speed? Where's the speed on defense? Where's the speed? It's there. Yeah. There's speed on offense. Where's the speed on defense? It doesn't exist on this team.
Marcus Jones won't more special teams, but he's 5'8". I don't know how if he's
going to you had Daxton Hill there with the number. You had Daxton Hill there, and you chose to reach and take Cole Strange.
Yeah, I can't explain that. I didn't have a great draft. I put him probably. We did a top 10 words. I'd probably put them in that one. I didn't even top 5. I liked the offense that they did. Yeah, I think they did a lot. Like a Marcus Jones and Jack Jones, they're probably gonna be 2 special teamers. But it gives you cornerback depth because they have 0 of that. Like I don't really know who's gonna be our corner number 1.
Probably Malcolm Butler because he's probably. I mean, he's not the player he once was, but he's better than any other corner you have now that you didn't re-sign J.C. Jackson. Yeah,
and Jonathan Jones probably be number 2, which scares me. I'm not a big fan of him. So you got depth at the corner position. Offensive line, offensive line. I think it's kind of developmental here. Chasen Hines and Andrew Stuber, I think, could be nice depth pieces, but yeah, that's about it. I like the speed. I think special teams that kind of helps with that too. Calvin Harris, I think, is probably gonna be the guy that's gonna take over Damian Harris next year. That's kind of my only thing. The Zappy one, I do like Zappy, but it's like, yeah, we do have Mac, and it's like, what do you because he's got a big arm, and I remember watching Houston Baptist that he lit up Texas Tech one year. I think he had 465 yards in Texas Tech one year, and that Houston Baptist team had no talent whatsoever. That was, he was the only thing they had, and he was outstanding. I like him, but yeah, he's going to be a backup. Like it's not like he's going to be competing. I guess So yeah, I think they had a better draft. I just like the speed that they added. I do think that's going to help Mac Jones out offensively. Defensively, yeah, like the corners, they're very undersized, the 2 that they got. So I'm thinking either slot guys or they're going to be special teamers.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I didn't like the Patriots draft. You like it better than me. We'll see how it ends up playing out. But the Yankees and Red Sox are going in opposite directions. But before we talk about that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut.
All righty. How about those Yankees winning 11 in a row? And it's just everything's clicking for them. The starting pitching has been outstanding. Garrett Cole has found his form. Jordan Montgomery's pitched well. Severino wasn't great on Sunday, but he's pitched well this year. Tyone was really good last night. The bullpen's obviously been awesome. And the lineup has really found its stride. DJ LeMahieu in the leadoff spot. Rizzo's had a really good year. Judge is red hot. Stanton has hit the ball pretty well. Kiner Falefa, who I was not a fan of, it's been a pleasant surprise. Even Gleyber Torres, you know when you're playing well when Gleyber Torres is hitting the ball well. He had that 2-run homer. He had that huge hit on Monday night. This Yankee team right now winning 11 in a row, and everything's going well. Everything is clicking. I mean, and really, when everything clicks in baseball, you're going to have a great team. And this Yankee team has potential of being a great team.
Yeah, it's been surprising what they've been able to do. Because again, they lost 2 out of 3 from Baltimore, and it was kind of like team old team. But yeah, this lineup, they're stealing bases. They're doing the little things like that Marwin Gonzalez kind of run down last night, third base. Now, yes, Vladdy tagged them, and the Toronto kind of did not have a challenge, so they couldn't. But like again, he kept going there. He kind of waited for the if he didn't. He waited. Like it's like the small things like that kind of make the difference in a game. And it's stuff they've been doing. Yeah, Aaron Judge's been red hot. Sunday they're down 4-1 to Kansas City. There's no shot last year that last year's team comes back and wins that game Sunday. They do, because they could never sweep teams last year. That was their problem last year. They win the first 2 games of the series and they come out flat as a pancake for the final game of the series. They didn't. Judge's what? It's like he's batting like 350 during the last 10 games. Stan's been playing well. Yeah, Gleyber Torres is I don't know what happened, but he found something, and it seems like he's been fixed, and he's been playing well. Yeah, this pitching staff has been unbelievable. Nestor Cortez has been nasty. He's been pretty much unhittable. Garrett Cole figured out, and Tyrone last night shutting down a really good Toronto lineup. It's everything's clicking right now. I just hope they're not peaking too early here. Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I mean, it's been outstanding. It's been phenomenal. I mean, yeah, you said the right thing. Let's hope they're not peaking too early. But you made a great point about when they were down 4-1 on Sunday. Last year's team loses that game. That's why I'm not convinced, but I'm starting to get a feeling that things are going to be different this year. And I think the biggest reason why the things are different, obviously the bullpen, the rotation wasn't great, but it was good last year. The bullpen was good. But the lineup has been the difference. The lineup has definitely been the difference. And it makes a difference when you have a good leadoff hitter in that lineup. Hicks or LeMahieu, that's made a difference because Judge been able to get going. Rizzo, second in all of baseball in RBIs. He's been able to get going. And the lineup, they're tied for first with the Mets in runs scored. I think that was the issue going to the season. I think that is the reason why this team right now is probably the best team in baseball. Yeah, them and the Mets right now they're both on fire. LeMahieu looks, again, he looks injury free right now. He's playing great, batting just under 300. He's been great top of the order. And Rizzo's been great with running scoring position. Same with Judge. Even Stan's hitting a lot of hard hit balls, and Hicks has played well coming off the injury. Like even Josh Donaldson the other night did something. He got an RBI. He's not been great, but he got a big hit there on Monday night. Yeah, it's just been this team's kind of just it's finding a way. Marwin Gonzalez, he hasn't played a lot, but he's batting with 300. He's been good when he's been in the lineup. So yeah, it's been like the one hole right now has kind of been the catcher spot. That's kind of a lot of holes for a lot of teams around the league. So yeah, right now, this lineup's just clicking, and as you mentioned. Yeah, when you get that leadoff hitter on with the LeMahieu, with what you have down coming up next, it makes it very challenging for a pitcher to kind of get around that and get out of that inning. And now, especially like a guy like Judge has stolen a couple bases. I think Gallo even has a couple or one or two, and even Hicks has steal base. Like it puts or even like late in the game when Tim LaCastro comes on to pitch run for somebody. Again, it put pressure on the pitcher. They didn't do that at all. The only time they did that last year was in August, and that's when they pretty much played their best baseball last year. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope this is to come. But yeah, it's nice for being up in the Blue Jays because the last couple of weeks they played like the Royals and Orioles and was kind of in Cleveland. It was like, okay, can they do this against Toronto? And so far, so good for them. Absolutely. That's another good point you made. A lot of people are going to say, oh, well, look who they played. They played the Guardians. They played the Royals. They played the Royals. They played the Orioles. Look at all the teams they played. They're not that good because look at the teams they played. Now they're proving it against the good teams. Now they're proving it against the Blue Jays on the road. So you can't talk about, the teams they're playing. Right now, outside of the Mets, they're playing better than anyone in baseball, and you can't deny that. You cannot deny that. We both were critical of this team going into the season. We both thought this was a third or fourth place team, but they have surprised us so far. They're 18-6. They've won 11 in a row. They have surprised us, and like I just said, outside of the Mets, they're playing better than anybody in baseball. Yeah, they are. Yeah, them and the Mets right now are on fire, and I think the Mets are they're still tied, but they're playing Atlanta right now. But yeah, they've been on fire. Win 11 straight to show, especially the way they started. It was they lost 2 or 3 at Baltimore, and they something just kind of clicked from there. They came home, or then they went to Detroit. They took 2 out of 3 to Detroit, and then they came home for that big 6-team homestand, and they kind of just figured things out. They're leading the league in home runs. they're tied with the Mets there first in runs scored. But yeah, the lineup they're doing the little stuff this year. They're good with runners of scoring position. The pitchers are getting the big kind of shutdown innings that they need. They're getting the timely hits. They're stealing some bases. They're doing the little things that they haven't really done the last couple of years. And and I'm glad they're kind of trying to get back to some of that because that's kind of huge. And I think again, you put the ball in play, it puts pressure on the defense. Again, when you strike out, it does no help. You put the ball in play, who knows? You still can commit an error. You can still beat out a kind of a tapper down the line. Slow rolling tapper. Things didn't happen when we put the ball in play. Not when you just strike in. I think they're doing a better job of that and not just striking out.
Exactly. And then you saw that last night. I think they scored 6 runs without in the 7th inning without even hitting a home run. So they're definitely doing a better job of that. So this Yankee team is playing really, really well. But we got to move on to the team that's not playing well in the AL East, and that's the Red Sox. Right now, they're 10-14, and really the struggles have kind of been surprising. You would think if they were 10-14, their rotation would be absolutely terrible, and their offense would still be decent. But it's the opposite. Their offense has been very, very disappointing so far. And if you look at this offense, Trevor Story has been a flat-out disappointment. You look at this lineup, yes, Devers and Bogarts and JD are hitting for high averages, but they're not hitting for power. And if you look at 6, 7, 8. 9 in this lineup has been absolutely terrible. Kike Hernandez has been awful. Bobby Dahlbeck has been awful. Jackie Bradley Jr., that was a bad trade, trading him, getting him back and trading Hunter Renfroe, who had a really good year for the Sox last year. So their offense has really underachieved. Right now they're 23rd in runs scored. So their offense has been the biggest reason because their rotation's kind of kept them afloat. I mean, Evaldi has pitched really, really well. Whitlock, when he started, has pitched well. Waka pitched well last night. So their rotation has actually been kind of keeping them afloat. We all know their bullpen isn't good, but their rotation is keeping them afloat, and their offense is really underachieved. And that's why right now they're sitting in 4th place in the AL East at 10-14.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been the big hits. It's been the lineup. You lost 2-3 to Baltimore, and in Toronto too, you lost 3-4, and the Toronto series too. It's like they kind of got some runs early. They couldn't do anything off of it, and at times too, it's like they hit the ball hard. At times too, it's just it's gone right at somebody. It's kind of been a combination of bad luck. But yeah, their bottom 3. It's just been horrendous. Kike's been horrible. Story, I think they're hoping turns the corner soon, but because he just did not have much of a spring training, and he had like 10 at bats during spring training, so. They're hoping he kind of gets into a rhythm and groove soon. But yeah, especially in this division where you can't keep falling behind because, I think at some point, we all know the Rays are kind of going to figure it out. They're going to keep going. Obviously, the Blue Jays and Yankees right now are going to be on top, and they're already back 8 games of the Yankees. You can't really keep digging yourself on the hole. And yeah, their stats been good. Barnes is, still kind of having problems there, but, I think it really hurt too that they didn't have Walker last week in Toronto. They wouldn't have blown those 2 games because Garrett Whitlock probably would have closed those 2 games last week in Toronto. But they had to start him on Thursday, and that kind of hurt them, the bullpen wise. And, they just got to stay afloat till Chris Sale comes back. And I believe he's supposed to start some rehab assignments very soon because I think June 14th, he's eligible to come out the IL. So he's a month away from today. So, they just got to stay afloat so they can kind of get Chris Sale back in that rotation. And then sounds like probably Whitlock and Houck are probably going to be 2 guys that kind of just be bridge guys. And when those 2 are on, though, that bullpen's going to help out that bullpen. But yeah, the lineup it's kind of hurt them at times this year.
Yeah, and in this division, it could get late early for the Red Sox because they got to start hitting, and they can't rely on Waka to keep pitching the way he's pitching. This rotation, they've overachieved, but it's shaky. So the Red Sox got to start hitting, or it's going to get late early, especially in this division.
Yeah, absolutely. They're in the bottom 10 of the league right now in runs scored this year. And again, coming in the season, Boston had one of the best lineups right in the league. With the combination adding Story. Again, in the way Dahlbeck finished, we thought he was going to take that next step for Boston. He's really showed. They've actually been calling for Tristan Cass is one of their top prospects to kind of come up and play first base for Dahlbeck. He's really struggled. It really could be. If this offense doesn't really get going here, and the Angels, they got the Angels last night, but the Angels have started out the season really good. They got the White Sox this weekend, they've been struggling as well, but at some point that's a good roster. They'll figure it out. They got Houston at the end of the month. They go to Chicago at the end of the month. For the rest of the month, they got Texas coming up soon in Baltimore, but they can't kind of steal some of these. Yeah, it's gonna be they're gonna find themselves in a lot of problems. July and August trying to find themselves to get a wild card game because with how good this division is gonna be, and you can't just keep falling behind. And right now they're really struggling right now to kind of get out of their own way.
Absolutely. So we'll wrap up the show talking about the NHL playoffs. And last night, my team was playing in it. So I think last night, I texted Justin this. I watched more hockey last night than I watched all year. I devoted 4.5 hours to watch that game. And what I got was another painful New York Ranger playoff loss. I've seen this enough in my lifetime. Another just painful Ranger playoff loss. Obviously, they came out fast out of the gates, took a 2-0 lead. Then the Penguins showed their experience, tied the game at 2 in the second period. Then had that huge shorthanded goal by Chris Kreider, put him up 3-2. Then right after that, the Penguins tied the game. And then you're thinking the Rangers are going to win because they get that goal, that controversial goal that got disallowed. And then you sit there for 3 overtimes to watch the Penguins go up 1-0 on the Rangers. And 2 questions, Justin. How did the Rangers get back in that series? First, what were your thoughts on that call last night? And how do the Rangers get back in the series?
One, I think that call was ridiculous. So Capo could not really avoid. Now, every time I know you go to the net like that, you're crashing the net, there's a chance. But the shove, I don't know how you can avoid it. And I thought Dumoulin, the Pittsburgh defender, knocked out DeSmith more than Capo did, when he dove there. So, again, I thought that was ridiculous that got overturned. Yes, it possibly did decide that game, but I thought it was a ridiculous call. And, again, the Rangers probably should have won that game in regulation. It was another brutal loss for him. Shesterkin stood on his head. Again, you're right about another heartbreaking loss. The goaltender stands on his head, and the offense just cannot help him out. Lundqvist went through that for years, and Igor Shesterkin looks like he's going to have to battle through that again. Unfortunately, they came out fast. For the Rangers, they got to shut down that first line. Russ, Genslick, Crosby just killed them. And Crosby, he's so good because the Rangers kind of sent 2 guys at him, and he's just so good at finding the open guy. And you saw that he made a couple of really nice passes there, and he found the open guy, and they made the Rangers pay for it. They gave up 25 shots in the second period. They kind of were able to hang in there. They had a great start. I loved how aggressive they were in the forecheck. Now that hit too that Lindgren put on Raquel there, that was not a penalty either. And the Rust kind of swallowed their whistle after that. There's not many penalties called there, and that could hurt the Rangers because the Rangers are one of the best teams on power play teams this year. That could really hurt the Rangers. They cannot get some calls. Obviously, they usually do swallow the whistles in the playoffs, but they got to take every advantage of that. It'll be interesting how a young team like this bounces back in the playoffs after defeating a loss like that. Especially, too, you got their third string goal at one point, and he just comes in and it was a brick wall. So it saves the 17 shots he faced. So it was very frustrating. But again, they endured some positive takes out for it. But too, for the Penguins' sake too, this is probably the last go around for the Penguins because Malkin's a free agent at the end of the year, and Chris Letang is as well. So I think for those 3 of Crosby, Letang, and Tink and Malkin, this is their last kind of dance here. So I think the Penguins know that. So it's going to be a tough out for the Rangers, but again, it's a tough one to lose, and obviously Thursday's a must win.
Absolutely. Now shifting over to the Bruins, and the Bruins got destroyed in Game 1. They lost 5-1 to the Hurricanes. Is there any way the Bruins can get back in the series, or are the Hurricanes just too tough?
I think they're going to be just too much of the Bruins. And during the regular season, the 3 or 4 games they played, the Hurricanes outscored them 60-1. That kind of tells you all you need to know about the series. again, the Bruins I thought were the better team. They had 39 shots on goal to Carolina 26. Mark just really struggled in his first postseason appearance. He had a rough one. And I don't know if you remember Antti Retna, the former Rangers backup for a while. He's been filling in for Frederick Anderson, who's been hurt. He played well in net and kind of shut it down. But, the Bruins, again, they have so much experience with Marchand still, Pasternak, again, McAvoy, Carlo. Like, they have guys that have been there for a while. They kind of know, they know how to kind of win the playoffs. But I just think the youth of Carolina is just going to be too much for them. Boston's got to get out to a fast start tonight. They got to get some confidence. Carolina may get their starting goaltender back in Frederick Anderson. I know he's still a game time decision. But they just got to get they got to get on the board early and try to put some pressure on Carolina, or just to get some confidence. And I think that's what they have to do tonight. But it's a very tough one for Carolina because they just have so much firepower.
Yeah, I think seeing Carolina being the number one seed, I think that's going to be a very, very tough series for the Bruins. But that's going to wrap it up on Sports Talk with R&J. For our producer, Chase Garcia, did a great job. And for Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking NBA playoffs, Yankees and Red Sox, and NHL playoffs. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Meat, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting Clovercrest.